Okay, good evening YouTube and welcome to episode 8 of the FPL Family. My name is Lee, this is Sam, and I'll tell you what, that game week, so game week 4 in FPL, that had a bit of everything, don't you think? There were sendings off, there was injuries, the heavy hitters really came out to play, they really hit heavy. It's looking increasingly hard to find a front three in our fantasy team, so for me, that's the best game week we've had so far. What did you think?
Wow, it was just...
Cool,
like
right?
you say, it was a bit of everything. It was certainly mixed emotions in this house, from a fantasy point of view. And
yes, very mixed.
And
very.
A personal football point of view.
Very.
Up and down. Yeah, a lot of frustration for me, fantasy league wise, this week.
It's cool though, right? There's so many players that are in that. As we know, when we've experienced FPL managers, you'll know this, right? There's a pool of players. There's some players you would never pick in FPL, but there's just a pool of players, and that pool is really, I mean...
It's growing.
It's growing, but the players that are in that pool really did something this week, be it, get sent off in Mane's case, or... your man Heaton got injured today for Burnley, so that's going to start mixing things up in people's goalkeeper spots. KDB, 2 assists, coming back onto the radar. He's trolling us, this guy. It's unbelievable.
And I think that for me, that was the real frustration about this week, was that, we played our wild cards, both of us, last week. And a lot of the players that I got off...
don't.
Suddenly, you get off KDB for Mane, and what happens? KDB gets 2 assists and Mane gets sent off. I mean, for God's sake, you can't win.
I saw a lot of that going on, but if it makes you feel any better, I saw a lot of that going on Twitter. KDB to Mane. And if people weren't going KDB to Mane, they were going KDB to Salah, which is like,
just as bad, really.
Ouch. There wasn't that many people doing KDB to Ali or Ericsson, actually. But maybe that was because they already had one of those Spurs players. I don't know. So this is what we're going to talk about, guys. We're going to see how we get on in the hour or so that we usually do this vlog. What we'll normally do is talk about the upcoming game week fixtures as well in game week 5. But I think they've got so much to talk about from what we've just seen in the last 48 hours and so many talking points. I think we're going to eat up time just talking about this game week. So
yeah, we might not get into the preview of the next week yet.
Indeed. Plus, we've got still one game to go. So as you guys will know, we shoot this on a Sunday night. So you need Mounier in the Monday night game. So we've got West Ham and Huddersfield at the Olympic Stadium still to come on Monday night. So what we'll do is we'll round up all the other games that have gone on throughout Saturday and Sunday. And then we'll come to you, I guess, with a Periscope probably maybe just after that game on a Monday or maybe Tuesday, Wednesday, something like that. And during that Periscope, we'll give you a feel for, what we think is going to happen in game week. I'm losing track all the time. In game week 5, sorry, yeah. So the game week 5 fixtures that are coming up. Lots and lots of big teams at home. Looks a lot more easy, I should say, to call than this game week was. But, we'll see. So tell me about this game week then. How did it go for you, both yesterday and today?
Badly. Badly in the players that I was expecting to do well. We'll just leave one aside for now. I'll come to him in a moment. But the players I was expecting to do well, Mane got sent off.
Yeah.
We can talk about that when we come to
Some
talk about
Liverpool. Some people captain in Mane,
Oh wow, that's
Twitter,
-6
right?
then.
Yeah.
-4 rather. That's terrible. So he did nothing. Ali did nothing for me.
Yeah. Bit unlucky, Dele Alli has a couple of chances in that game. I mean, Spurs fans, tell us what you think. We'll come to the Spurs game in a minute when we review the fixtures we've just seen. But that could have been a cricket score in that game. I think Everton were lucky to get away with 3-0, right?
My big hitters really just didn't really do much. Firmino, nothing, obviously. But I mean, the Liverpool game we'll talk about, but it was destroyed from that moment on. Obviously, my man Kane finally.
Yeah, so come on, so you're saying you had a bad game where you captained Kane, so it can't be that bad.
Yeah, but everyone else has got 1 or 2, or -2, and Kane's got 20,
-2.
or 26.
Right.
So, yes, Kane has absolutely saved my bacon this week, and I was getting a lot of abuse on Instagram.
Why?
Because people think I'm mad, captaining Kane. And I honestly, I mean, I said it to you a number of times in that week, I honestly believed that away from home, he would score.
It's weird, isn't it, this Wembley thing?
I just believed it would happen this week.
A lot of people on Twitter, and I'm in this camp as well, I think the Wembley thing is nonsense.
I do
but
too.
For some reason, Spurs away from home look very, very comfortable. And, you know, as we said before in the previous vlog and on Twitter and Instagram before, you cannot ignore Kane's stats. And I think there will be a lot of people getting on the Kane train now.
Certainly. And last season before, away from home, our form wasn't great. White Hart Lane was our fortress, really. Didn't lose there at all, did we, last?
No, so as usual, we've gone off on a Spurs tangent. Sorry, guys, we always do this beginning of every video.
So in terms of my fantasy week, it's been saved by Kane.
Super Kane. All right.
What about
you? I'm 50 all out, so I haven't got anybody I haven't got any West Ham or Huddersfield players. So 50 seems okay. I'm pretty happy with that, I think. But I think, again, I look through my team and I think I've got a solid foundation there. I think a lot of people are going to want Lukaku and Kane, or are going to have to choose between the two. I happen to be sitting on both right now. I guess I kind of saw Lukaku as the bank, if you like. That's where, you know, if I was going to downgrade, I would downgrade there and maybe upgrade, you know, a Ruben Loftus-Cheek or somebody in the middle, or maybe get an Alonso at the back. But for now, I think on the back of what we've just seen, it feels very, very difficult to get rid of Kane or Lukaku. I'm absolutely 100% not getting rid of Kane. I mean, he was so unlucky. We've said this a number of times. He was unlucky with his stats in the first few game weeks. An explosion was imminent, and we got it at the weekend. All right, the first one was a bit fluky, wasn't it? But the second goal was absolutely what we want to see from Harry Kane. So, yeah, 50 all out. I'm reasonably happy with that. I think I'm okay with it.
Okay.
I think I'm okay.
You know, and
it's a bit kind of...
We can talk about this in the Periscope, but I think, you know, I have a little bit of surgery to do, because obviously I've got the Mane issue now to deal with.
Yeah, as have most of you guys, I guess. Let us know if Mane owners, what are you doing with him?
Yeah, and you know, there's a couple of injuries coming up this game week that might need dealing with. So yeah, like you say, I'm fairly comfortable still that my team is generally okay. Just not had the best week, but I have got Meunier playing tomorrow night.
Cool.
So
all right. So we'll talk about your radar as well. We'll say who's coming off the radar. I think there's again a few good candidates to go onto the radar. Another name that I'm going to struggle to pronounce. Help me out here. Choupo-Moting. Is that how you say it?
Let's just go with Max.
Yeah, they call him Max, don't they? They call him Max at Stoke, I think. So I think we maybe just go with Max, or maybe we'll try Choupo-Moting.
I'm going to go with Max.
Yeah, so we'll talk about him potentially being on the radar, as well as a host of other people. But let's go through the games. Why don't we start with then the first game that was on the agenda, Man City versus Liverpool. We both watched it. Well, I watched it intently until the red card at half-time, and then I kind of didn't want to really watch it in the second half. It's a bit of a non-event, but as a neutral and a relative neutral, tell us what you thought of it. Was it a red, first and foremost? Let's get that out of the way. What did you think?
I don't know. I suppose by the letter of the law, yes. You know, he has, unintentionally, of course, but he has kicked the guy in the head. Now, there's all sorts of debate about it. Personally, for me, I'm not sure. I think it was harsh, given that what we saw today in the Newcastle game this afternoon. There
was a high foot in that as well, wasn't there? I forget the player. But a Newcastle player had a very high foot on Alfie Mawson, I think.
It was Richie.
Was it Richie?
Yeah.
Okay. Also an
got
FPL asset, right?
Yeah,
okay.
got yellow card for it. And actually, for me, and I said to you, didn't I? That was Mane-esque. I mean, it was the same.
It looked it actually from the, you know, as soon as you saw it, you thought, oh, that's high. You know, and straight away I was like, oh, that's another Mane, right?
Yeah. The only difference being that Mane, unfortunately, made contact with the keeper. The keeper was injured, and it you know, that.
So red, yes or no?
Probably yes, by the letter of the law, yes.
Yeah. I think I feel similar actually. I'm obviously I was watching the game. I was.
You were very upset.
I was upset. I mean, I was watching the game and I was thinking actually I thought we were the equal of City. It was a very very good game actually. I thought first kind of 40 odd minutes until Mane got sent off. All right, you know, Aguero got a very good goal, great pass by KDB, and again our defence letting us down, but. I thought we were the equal of Man City. We had a couple of chances. Salah needs to work on his finishing. So you guys that have got Salah, me included, I don't know, you know, you have Mane, haven't you? But I mean, Salah could have had a couple of goals getting in behind Otamendi quite early on in that game. So you know, one to look out for if he can improve his finishing, which he surely can do. But so I was enjoying the game. You know, clearly when Mane got sent off, I was like, no, it's definitely not a red. He's got to go for it. He can't pull out because.
And I think he did have to. He did have to go.
Yeah, and if he pulls out, we're all going, you know, oh, he's bottled it. You know, he's got no, you know, all the rest of it. So I think he's got to go for it. It's not in Mane's nature to be malicious in any way. I don't think.
And you saw that.
It's an unfortunate collision. So So I'm not sitting here saying it's not a red, because I've looked at the slow-mo replays. His foot is very high. He is endangering a player, and it does, it strikes the keeper, smack bang in the face. And you only got to see pictures of Ederson when he came back to the Etihad towards the end of the game, and he's got the big patches on his face, and his face looks a right old state. So, is it a red? Yes, I think it is. And I think he's right to get the ban. It's an unfortunate one because, it's not in the player's nature. It's a bit of a 50-50 and he's got to go for it, but his foot is high, it's dangerous.
And I think you can tell it's not in the player's nature from the social media stuff that he put out after the game. He was incredibly apologetic.
I think so. But as Liverpool fans, we know Mane, it's that's not really the sort of thing. This guy rarely gets booked, I think. So.
No, I think the interesting thing to come out of this then is we agree it's a red card. What do we do about him as a fantasy
Absolutely, so let's go to that.
So he has got a 3-game ban.
Yes, but I think one of those games is potentially a cup game,
is
right?
the cup. So he's going to miss the next 2 game weeks. Now, for me...
Which are, by the way, guys, just so you know, Burnley at home, which is gutting to miss him for that one. Leicester away. So he's back for potentially, barring any injuries. He's Newcastle at home, game week 7. And then the games after that are Man United at home and Tottenham away. So he's coming back into a pretty tough set of fixtures.
So for me, then, it comes down to a decision, really, doesn't it? Because part of the reason I had Mane was because I liked your immediate next fixtures, and I saw you
Burnley at home,
yeah, and I just thought that you were looking on really good form attacking wise. Now it leaves me with a dilemma because I could just do a straight swap. Well, it's a downgrade really financially, and just get Salah. But do I want to do that? Like, do you think it's going to affect?
Do you think you might go back up to KDB?
Well, this is another factor. So there's 2 options really. Well, there's 3. There's either I do the straight swap, I keep with Liverpool, get Salah, and go there. Or if Coutinho is going to start playing,
maybe.
Do I go there?
Yeah, maybe.
So that's one option. The other option, I suppose, is that I go back to KDB, but then that feels a little bit ridiculous.
Why?
Well, because
he's just trolling us, isn't he, KDB?
Yes. So am I jumping on a bandwagon here based on one game when they were playing you with 10 men?
So look, so KDB got an assist before we went down to 10 men, and he looked very good. He looked very dangerous. He was making good penetrating runs. He looked like the KDB we were all expecting, I think.
Agree.
So from that perspective, it wasn't that he just came to the fore, when we went down to 10 men and the game was gone. So it definitely looked like the old KDB. However, for me, he still feels like he's in that kind of different role this year. He's still in that sort of slightly deeper holding role. Yes, he was able to get forward a bit more against us. I think City knew that they had to go after us. They at the risk of being hit on the counter-attack, I think they knew that they had to kind of go for it. I think they saw the team sheet, they saw Clavan, they saw Moreno, those sorts of guys at the back, and they thought, there's something in it for us here. I did too, by the way, with those guys playing. So I think KDB was a bit like, I fancy this.
Yeah.
However, Man City have got some very, very good fixtures coming up. So you guys that are considering KDB, indeed the Mane to KDB switch, if you've got a bit of money in the bank, let us know whether you're going to do that and what's your thinking behind it. For me, I don't see it as a bad move at all, but let's just be aware of what's happened in the last couple of weeks with KDB. He has been pretty deep. Let's not forget that.
And I think that's my thinking too. So I've kind of ruled that out as I'm not going to do that. So it leaves me with options of Salah.
Yeah.
Or another from another team. Now, the issue that I've got is that I've covered Spurs in Ali, and I don't see... I guess I could
Eriksen, Ali, Kane.
I could have Eriksen, Ali, Kane, but I really fancy. Overkill, I really fancy Davis, so we'll talk about that one. Spurs.
Okay, cool.
So that will give me 3. Or I go for Pogba, but then I've got.
You're on Mickey, aren't you?
I'm on Mickey. Yeah. So do I do?
But you haven't got Lukaku, so.
No, but what I really want is a Chelsea player.
Ah, okay, right. So so you're thinking about Mr. Hazard, are you?
Well. So I was actually, before this game week, and I said to you when I finished playing my wild card, my long-term aim was to bring some players down, upgrade Mounier to Morata.
Okay.
However, with an injury to Mane, I am now seriously thinking about Hazard.
Yeah, I think that's definitely worth considering. I think Hazard is coming back to fitness. I think Conte kind of came out after the game and was like, he's not 100% yet. We're still getting him up to speed. He certainly looked up to speed for me. when he played against Belgium in those internationals that we had in the international break. Did he feature at all at the weekend? Did he come on?
I don't know, actually.
I'm not sure. We can look at that. So Chelsea fans, let us know what you think about this, about Hazard coming back. Clearly a big player for you to come back, a massive positive. And if you're thinking about doing the Mane to Hazard switch, you're going to need to probably find $1 million from somewhere, aren't you?
I mean, I've got 1.6 in the bank, so...
You've always got money in the bank. You're like a little hoarder. You've always got money sitting around in the bank. I'm always on 0.1 or nothing. Always money in the bank. How do you manage to do this?
Well, I do it deliberately because I remember I told you that I was doing it. I told you because it was in case I needed Lukaku, but I don't think I do. So
always got a cheeky million knocking about behind the back of the sofa. You have, it's unbelievable.
I was thinking about spending that elsewhere, and I can talk about that as well. But when we get to a later game, but yeah.
So I think the Mane to Hazard move is looking very, very good. Let's just have a quick look at Chelsea's fixtures. So Chelsea have got to go to Arsenal are going to Stamford Bridge. Arsenal very hit and miss at the moment, so could be a good fixture for them. Then they're away at Stoke. I mean, that's tough. City at home, away at Palace, Watford at home. So a bit of a mixed bag there. Chelsea going away to Stoke is obviously a tricky one. And then, Palace away, the way that Palace are playing, you'd back them for that. Watford at home, you'd back them. So, Hazard coming back into the
He
fore.
did play. He played for 12 minutes.
He came on and played. Okay, so he's obviously very close to being fit enough to start a game.
It's just an interesting.
It's not a bad shout, I don't think.
No, and I think I don't think if it was a one match ban, I'd keep Mane and just risk a downwards drop in value for a game week. But with 2 game weeks out, he's too much money to be sitting.
And people will be dropping him, I think. So
what I'm hoping is that he doesn't drop in value until after the Liverpool Champions League game on Wednesday.
Sure.
Because I want to make sure that my other players also get through those Champions League games.
Okay, and I think the markets this year seem to be far slower than they have been in the previous years. So I haven't got my head around what the algorithm looks like for this year in terms of price rises and price changes. I think even the experienced guys like Fantasy Footy Fix are still getting to grips with what the algorithm actually is and looks like. One thing's for sure, it's far slower. So for me, that means we've got time to assess these injuries and what we want to do. Right? It's okay. It's okay to do an early transfer on a Saturday afternoon or a Sunday afternoon if you're absolutely sure you want that player.
Yeah.
For me now, because the markets are slower, guys, I would be waiting until certainly after the Champions League games towards the back end of next week to see, whether players get injured. If you have other issues in your team, you'll then need to sort out. It's worth waiting now, I think.
And that's what I'm doing. Saying that, I mean, it's interesting. Aguero went down last night.
Oh, did he?
And that was on the back of, a good performance against Liverpool.
Interesting.
But it's
people getting Kane.
Potentially, yes, but it's also people. He was going down steadily all week, and I think the Kane switch just tipped him over the edge.
Okay.
So yeah, it's just an interesting point to consider.
All right, so that's Man City, Liverpool. Anybody from either of those teams? I guess nobody from Liverpool, but anybody in those teams. I say nobody from Liverpool. Interestingly, both Moreno and Trent Alexander-Arnold had their fair share of free kicks and corners. I mean, we've spoken about this before. We've spoken about the need to maybe stay away from Liverpool defenders. But if those guys are going to be on set pieces, and Moreno now has had back-to-back starts for Liverpool under Klopp, maybe he's one to think about. I think he's already on your radar.
He is on the radar, yeah.
Begrudgingly, I agreed to that last week. So, maybe he's one to keep on there for now, despite getting smashed up 5-0.
Well, and also, and apologies, Burnley fans, of course, but I can't see you losing 5 to Burnley.
No.
So. Yes, I think Moreno can stay. I also think, having said that, I'm not into coverage last week.
Yeah.
I do think that Jesus has got to be worth a little look on the radar. If you've not got any City, I think he's looking like a really good pick. Every week he's knocking up some points.
So interesting that the Jesus and Aguero dynamic worked really well at the weekend, I thought. I mean, even when Liverpool had 11 players on the pitch, it still looked like it was working pretty well. They seemed to have this kind of understanding between them. There was, I think, Jesus' second goal where Aguero was clean through. All he had to do was slide it under Mignolet, and he said he squared it to Jesus to score. So that shows you that those two guys are willing to work together and make this work for City rather than working against each other.
Agreed.
So I think they've got a good relationship going there. If you're going to pick one of the two, it certainly feels like Jesus is Pep's favourite, seems to be the one that gets the starts. And again, 2 goals against Liverpool, right? Okay, both came when we were both down to 10 men, and obviously the game took a very different dynamic and a very different turn in the second half. But yeah, I think if you're looking at Jesus as in one of your forward lines, if you can afford it, because we'll talk about all the heavy hitters later on in terms of who gets those front three spots. But Jesus definitely should be on the radar, I think.
Okay, should we move on to Arsenal and Bournemouth?
One more to just ask you about is your radar. So you tell me, Leroy Sané, 2 goals for Man City. Does he make it onto the radar, or is he still a massive rotation risk?
I think it's still a rotation risk.
I
think until you see stability in that Man City team, where people are playing and who's playing every week, anyone other than Jesus, as I will continue to
Jesus,
Jesus.
You're as bad as me with my Choupo-Motings and my Mkhitaryan's. Yeah.
Then for me, I think they're too much of a risk.
I'm with you on that. I think it's a real shame. It's a real shame because he's 8.5, might even be 8.4 now. I don't know. Pep's playing him at wing back one game, but when he brings him on against 10-man Liverpool, not exactly much of a challenge. But come on, this kid, he scored a wonder goal. He looked lively, looked really good. If only Pep would play him, where he wants to be played, we could have an 8.5 absolute bargain on our hands. He could be a fantastic FPL asset. But I'm with you. Very, very difficult to predict what Pep's going to do. Didn't start him against Liverpool.
Yeah, and he could have come on and done nothing. And I think had it been an 11-man Liverpool team, it could have been a very different coming on. Yeah.
All right, so Leroy Sané not on the radar for now. All right, so let's talk about what other games have we got?
Arsenal and Bournemouth.
Arsenal, are we going alphabetical or are we going...
We're going in the... Well, yes, it's now alphabetical in the order of Saturday, 3 o'clock.
Right, okay, so let's go Arsenal 3, Bournemouth 0. So bouncing back then, Wenger and his troops, what did you think?
Yeah, I mean, actually, they looked like they'd recovered from all of the deadline day nonsense. They looked on good form. They're playing Bournemouth, who have been poor.
Tough start for Bournemouth so far.
Yeah,
looked bad again. Looked bad again at the weekend.
I
know Arsenal did look good, so not taking anything away from you Arsenal fans, but Bournemouth.
I just don't know what's happened to Bournemouth. Because
I don't know either. I can't put my finger on it. So Bournemouth fans, tell us what you think. It's a very, very difficult start to the season for you. The fixtures in the upcoming few weeks look again very challenging for you. Hard to say.
I just don't know. I thought that Bournemouth were going to have a good season. Not a fantastic season.
They still might.
But I thought they'd have a good season. I just didn't expect their season to have started quite as badly as it has. So Arsenal, they were playing a team that isn't in great form at the moment. However, they looked much more solid. They looked much more of a team. Wenger playing the best players he's got, not putting Lacazette on the bench.
And Kolasinac.
So, we were starting to see a bit more of what I think Arsenal will look like moving forward. I thought Welbeck looked really good.
Well, I'll tell you what I thought, and somebody said this on Arsenal Fan TV, which I've started following on Facebook because I just think it's one of the best things I've ever seen. It's so good. But you get a real feel for what the fans that are going to the games and watching Arsenal, and you get a feel for what they're saying. It's excellent. And a couple of the fans were saying the balance of the team, the dynamic of the team, when Welbeck is out on that left versus when Sanchez is out there, they're saying that Welbeck makes them far, far more balanced. Well, I think Wenger sees that.
I must admit, I thought that was the case. They looked. I mean, I don't praise Arsenal lightly, but I thought that they looked really good. I thought Welbeck.
This is painful for you to say, isn't it?
It is painful. I thought that Welbeck and Lacazette looked really good together. I thought, Lacazette is only the second player in Arsenal history to score on his first two home games for the club.
Okay, cool. Nice stat.
Really, I think he...
Danny Welbeck on your radar?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I think so.
Interesting.
I think, the fact that Sanchez came on for 15 minutes and that was I just didn't think he looked like it didn't look necessary.
All right, so I'm not sure. I mean, I think if I was going to put Welbeck on the radar, it's your radar, you do what you want, but if it was me, I'd be putting him on the periphery. I'm not going to go too crazy for Arsenal. Excuse me. I'm not going to go too crazy for Arsenal. No, I know it wasn't. That was a poorly timed cough. It was a genuine cough. I'm not going to go too crazy for Arsenal, just because, again, same as KDB. I'm looking at their last 2 game weeks.
Yeah, okay.
Haven't looked great.
Okay, who they got
Bournemouth. I was going to come to that in a second because they've got to go to Stamford Bridge, I think.
Oh, really?
So they've played Bournemouth. Bournemouth looked, sorry, Bournemouth fans, very, very poor, and Arsenal won 3-0 when it was comfortable. So coming up, I think they've got to go to Chelsea. After that, that's Super Sunday next week. And then the game week after that, they've got West Brom at home.
Yeah, Super Sunday looks brilliant next Sunday.
Oh, it's got to be better than today, right?
Oh.
But so either way, yes, good win for Arsenal. I'm not getting that excited just yet. I want to see them put a string of few results together. And with Welbeck, he's competing with Alexis Sanchez for a place there. You can't ignore that. I mean, Sanchez is having just said what I said about balance, Sanchez has to be in that side, right? Just because he's Sanchez, he has to be first choice. So,
do you think he is at the moment?
Does Wenger keep with the balance and the fact that they performed well with Welbeck out there, or does he switch back to Sanchez?
Well, who knows what Wenger's going to do? He's crazy at times.
Yeah. All right, so Welbeck, absolutely stick him on the radar if you wish. I would be putting him on the periphery. One guy I would like to keep on the radar, if he's not on there already, let's add him, is Kolasinac.
Well, interesting, because the first half, if you look at the heat maps during the first half, everything going down that left side through him.
Yeah,
everything.
Absolutely. So a lot of pre-season chatter about this guy was then muted in the first few weeks because he was playing the Ox out there and he was competing with Monreal in that back three, and he wasn't playing that left wing back role that we all thought he was going to. Now that Oxlade-Chamberlain has gone to Liverpool, there's far less competition, I think, for that left wing back role, and that's where Wenger sees him playing.
Yeah.
He was marauding down that wing, guys, and at 6.0, which I think he still is, he's certainly one to put on the radar, I think. Got an assist as well, I think.
And really disciplined he was. If you look at his maps, it was literally he stayed where he should be. He wasn't coming in. He was out on that wing where he should be.
So that kind of suggests more assists than goals. If he's not cutting in and shooting, he's not getting into maybe dangerous positions, but he's out there crossing the ball and feeding others, right?
Agree, yeah. So okay. I think definitely he can stay on the radar. So I think coming out of the Arsenal game, sorry Bournemouth, we're not having any of you on the radar just yet. But Welbeck and Kolasinac, I think.
Welbeck and Kolasinac, all right.
Okay, moving on then, we're on to Brighton and West Brom. Now Brighton, first win of the season for them. I thought looked...
Well, I think Pascal Gross has suddenly come to the fore, hasn't he? I think, again, a lot of pre-season chatter about this guy. First few game weeks were a bit like, oh God, maybe we're a bit wrong about this guy. Suddenly explodes into life. 2 goals and an assist. One for the radar, I think.
100% was going on the radar. You can't get 2 goals and an assist in a game and not.
I feel great for Brighton, by the way. It was great for them to get that win, wasn't it? It's the first goals I think they've scored as a Premier League side. First win this season. So fair play to Brighton. I was very, very impressed actually in a game where I think a lot of us were backing our West Brom assets to do quite well. I certainly was backing Foster. I went Foster in goal this week over Elliott. And a lot of people were banking on the Hegazis and the Neoms, and Gibbs interestingly started on the bench that game, didn't he?
Came on, didn't he?
I can't see that he's going to stay there very long.
No.
I expect him to play.
Agree.
But the West Brom defence didn't. I think Brighton just played very well, and Pascal Gross was absolutely the coordinator in chief in that game.
Sure, and I think if you look at West Brom. So they've got 8 goals in their last 13 matches. I mean, that's a poor return by any stretch. They seem to look quite apart from this week. They generally look quite solid at the back. But going forward, there's just nothing. I mean, Rondon had no shots on target. No shots on target.
Rondon.
But
did Rodriguez play? I think he did, didn't he? Rondon and Rodriguez played. Okay.
So but who's got their goal? James Morrison. It's like, what's going on up front for West Brom? Why are they not able to score goals from their striker? I don't know.
So not much radar talk at the Hawthorns, I don't think.
No, I don't think so.
From a Brighton perspective, yes, definitely gross. How did your man Knockaert get on? Because we kind of had him out as a potential jammy pick last week, and in the end we went Brady, as you guys know. But I don't know whether I was watching Knockaert very closely, but was he good, bad, indifferent? Any clues on him?
I mean, he wasn't in the goals and the assist bracket, but he was certainly.
All right. Brighton fans, tell us what you think. I think not having Knockaert back can only help Brighton's case, right? He was, I think Player of the Year, or certainly was the conductor in chief, I should say, alongside Pascal Gross last year. So, Brighton fans, tell us what you think about the return of Knockaert. Is that the thing that sparked you into life, or has Pascal Gross just had a one-off game there? So anyway, Gross on the radar, yeah, I think so.
Oh, you know where we are now? We're up to
Everton,
Goodison.
Spurs. Right, okay.
Yay!
Pass me my drink. I'm going to take this opportunity to have a drink while you talk about Spurs. Go on.
Okay, so do you know what? When I've written it down, look what I've done. I've written score around the wrong way. There we go. So
3-0 Everton.
I wrote 3-0 Everton. Terrible. So yes, lovely to see my man Harry Kane back on the score sheet.
You did a little dance in the front room, if I remember rightly.
And our youngest was asleep, so it was a very silent...
It was a muted, silent dance around the living room,
yeah. And then when Eriksen scored, I had a cat asleep on my lap, so it was another muted celebration, but hey-ho. I don't care how they go in. I don't care whether he meant it. I don't care whether
He said he didn't mean it. It's a complete fluke.
I don't care. The fact is, he got me some fantasy points. Thank you, Mr. Kane. And he got us 3 points. We looked really, really good. I think there were 2 standout performances in that game, forgetting Kane and Eriksen. Ben Davies, the man can do no wrong at the moment. He's clean sheets, you know, absolutely.
Form and fixtures, I think, Ben Davies coming up. So
2 assists in this game.
I assume he's going on the radar if he's not already.
He is smack bang on the radar.
I think he should be in the middle of the radar, absolutely.
He is.
What's his price in FPL?
I think he's up at 5.6 now.
Yeah, he's got to have gone up at least 0.1, right? Yeah.
But he is looking absolutely nailed on, and I was.
When Rose comes back, what do you think?
No.
No to Rose. Rose is a goner.
I honestly think that Rose has caused a big problem between him and Pochettino. Pochettino doesn't take kindly to the kind of things that Rose said, and if Rose wants his place back in the team, he's going to have to work incredibly hard.
Okay, strong words. Right?
I think Ben Davies is... Rose isn't looking like he's coming back anytime soon. I think we might actually see Lamella before we see Rose. So, yeah, I think Ben Davies has got a long, long run in this team.
Cool, all right. So I think you're right. He should be going slap bang in the middle of the radar for me too.
Looking fantastic.
Can I rain on your parade slightly?
No.
Just a bit of a balanced view. Everton were very, very poor. I mean, Spurs did play well, admittedly, but Everton. I mean, Everton fans, what do you think? I mean, they were. I think your guys were at 6s and 7s at the weekend. A lot of new faces in there. Certainly looks as if the management team there have got their hands full trying to find out what works well. Your man up front, whose name I've forgotten, is it Martina?
I thought we were going to talk about Rooney then. I was going to say, surely he can remember.
Well, no,
Rooney.
he played Rooney just behind with Sigurdsson and Klassen, and then he played Martina up front, I think. I thought it was a very lazy display by Martina. I didn't see much tracking back. I didn't see much running around creating the space for those players. You give
you've only
Rooney,
got to look
Klassen or Sigurdsson time and space, they will do damage. But you didn't have Martina or anybody else in that Everton team creating the space for those 3. So it was I think the theory's right. The blueprint looks good, but Everton, they need somebody up there that's going to work harder.
They do, and they just let Eriksen go, and you can't do that. Like you have.
The space they were giving Eriksen was absolutely obscene. He's just going to punish you, isn't he?
It was like, just come along, have a shot, have more shots. I mean, we could have been 4 or 5 up in the first half.
And I think Eriksen smelt blood actually from the first whistle.
He was
getting into very dangerous positions, and actually this is why I've kept him in my wildcard team, despite the fact that, as we all know, Dele Alli is suspended for the first 3 Champions League games. So, from that perspective, you're probably going to think about putting Alli in over Eriksen. For me, I've stuck with Eriksen on my wildcard. I was very pleased to get him in. I think an 8-point return this week, so I'm happy with that. I'll take that. And I'm happy to keep him in, despite the fact that he's going to be playing Champions League 2, because this guy is red hot at the moment. And if you look at where he's getting on the pitch, it's not just assists, he's getting in dangerous areas for goals too.
Yeah, and I think other things to consider with Spurs, obviously we played our new formation on Saturday, so playing with Sanchez and Toby and Jan at the back. Looked really strong, really solid, allowed both Trippier and Davis to go. And interesting for those fantasy managers that have got Trippier, that Aurier didn't start, that it was Trippier. It'll be interesting to see moving forward whether Aurier starts over Trippier.
I think Aurier starts in the longer term, but yeah, okay.
But yes, I mean, and I thought the other player I was going to mention, not in terms of going forwards, but I thought Sanchez looked fantastic for us at the back.
Yes, he looks very assured. Yeah, again,
So if you're looking for a Spurs defender, I think Ben Davies is the one for his going forward prowess. I would say Trippier, but I'm not sure what's going to happen going forward long term with him and Aurier. But Sanchez is also looking really strong. I think he's slightly cheaper than Jan and Toby, so he's just an interesting one.
Yeah, I can't see past Ben Davies. So I think you've got form, fixtures, you've got the licence to go forward. I mean, what's not to like about this guy right now? He's a reasonable price as well, 5.5. So I think you've got to go there. Again, I'm going to rain on your parade a little bit. The the new formation looked good, but those 3 centre-halves they had nothing to worry about. I mean, Everton were so poor up top there. I'm not bitter.
The last thing to say on Spurs before we move on. Obviously, we've got some quite nice fixtures coming up.
Nice is an understatement. I think your fixtures are fantastic going forward.
So I'm going on Saturday, Swansea game. Harry is he likes to score against Swansea.
So you're going to Wembley.
I'm going to Wembley on
Saturday. You're going to triple up, clearly, and Kane captain. You're going to have all your eggs in one basket. So either going to be a great day out or absolutely terrible, won't it?
You'll find out. Well, my plan was to get Ben Davis for this game week, but then obviously what's happened with Mane, so I think I'll be ending up spending some points this week. But so my point was going to be, just before we move on, that Kane does like to score against Swansea.
All right. So when we do next week's vlogs, when we do episode 9, you'll be fresh out of Wembley again, so you'll be able to give us some.
Well, it's Saturday night, so it'll be the next day.
Oh, okay.
So I'll have come down from either the high or the low, depending upon.
Right. Okay. Come up or come down.
Okay. So Leicester and Chelsea, interesting game. So let's start with Chelsea then. Obviously, as I was saying to you, my long-term goal was Morata.
Looked good again, didn't he? Looked good.
Yes.
Hard to ignore him, I think, guys.
And that still hasn't changed. The only reason I didn't do it in my wild card was because they had Leicester and then the Arsenal game, so it's 2 tough fixtures. So I just thought it's worth
Leicester
waiting.
away is a tough fixture, so Chelsea, fair play. I mean, they've had to go there and
they really
grind out a result, dig in,
after
even
the
with
penalty,
Vardy
really
scoring. Yeah, absolutely.
So yes, I think Morata definitely is one to stick on the radar, and I'll pop Hazard there as well, just because I think he's definitely worth a watch now. He's coming back into the team.
Yeah, agree. Alonso, watch. How did he get on?
Nothing.
2-pointer, I think, for Alonso, wasn't it? So nothing from this week. But
if they're in my team, they've got 2 or 1.
Yeah, I mean, I need to get. I missed match today last night, so I need to look at it tonight. Have a look at how Alonso performed, see if he was getting in the same sort of dangerous areas. I suspect he probably was. But if you're looking at Chelsea assets now, if you've already got Alonso, I think you stick. I mean, I don't think you get rid of Alonso, right? But if you're looking at Chelsea assets now, you're very closely looking at Morata. I think very closely. This guy seems to be the real deal. Knows where the net is, seems to be getting assists as well, so he's creator as well as scorer, so I like him. I really like the look of him. I
do too, and so it'll be
3 headers as well, by the way.
What will be really interesting is to see how he does against Arsenal next weekend, because that's 2 really decent teams that they're playing against, 2 good competitors. So coming out the back of that Arsenal game, I think that's where you can make some decisions about Morata and Hazard.
Yeah, I'm kind of happy not to have any Chelsea or Arsenal going to that game and just see how it comes out. There's so many in both of those teams that I'm considering that I'll be keeping a very close eye on that game for sure.
Okay.
All right, Leicester City, Vardy penalty. Not much else to say, I don't think, out of that game. I don't think there was any real standout performances.
No. But Leicester did put up a really good fight in that game. So
okay, all right. So Southampton Watford. This was an interesting result. Probably the biggest surprise of the weekend for me. I had this down as a home win, but I think we did say either on the Periscope or the previous vlog that Watford would put the weight around a little bit, be organised, be hard to beat. Almost kind of bully that Southampton midfield. I got a feeling that's kind of what happened.
I'm really surprised at Southampton to lose 2 against Watford. Right. So Southampton, I think they're the team that you can keep clean sheets with, particularly in these opening games, good fixtures. That's not really happened. What's going on with their forwards? They just don't seem to be doing anything.
They are really struggling for goals, aren't they? And I wonder whether it's the creativity or indeed the lack of it behind them. Okay. I noticed in the heat maps and where players were going that Gabbiadini was dropping very, very deep throughout that game.
Okay.
And I wonder if he's cutting a bit of a frustrated figure, actually. And some of the Southampton fans that I follow on Twitter are saying, Gabbiadini is a...
I know a lot of people talking about getting off him this week.
Yeah, but what's the word they use? I can't remember, but he's kind of feeling a bit... He's just a bit unlucky at the minute because he's just not getting that service. He's up there, he's toiling away, he's working hard, he's trying to get into those positions, but the guys behind him... Yeah, the ball in the final third to him is just not coming, so he's getting frustrated, dropping back deep, trying to get involved with the game. And when he does that, there isn't anybody really running in behind to replace him up top. So therefore, it gets to the final third, it gets too congested. So They are struggling with that system at Southampton, and then similarly at the back, you've got so much choice now at centre half. Is that a good or a bad thing? Is Mr. Van Dijk going to come in and do the business here? Hooters come in, I think, started this game.
Yeah, Yoshida got dropped, didn't he?
Yeah, first game in the Premier League, so going to be tough for him. I think it took them something like 92 minutes to have a shot on target. I think Cedric Suarez was that shot on target in the 92nd minute.
Okay.
So Southampton fans, tell us what you think. For me, it's the fact that Gabbiadini is toiling away up there, but is getting frustrated, dropping deep, and it's not working in that final third for you.
I just think, I'm going to stick on my Southampton defender at the moment, I think.
I think it's the right thing to do.
I think I'm going to stick for now.
I've got a feeling their fixtures don't look too bad.
But I certainly don't think I'd be getting on any Southampton attacking players at the moment.
No, they've got Palace away, United at home, Stoke away, Newcastle at home, West Brom away. Yeah. So absolutely, it's worth sticking if you've got one. If you've doubled up, are you going to go get rid of one?
Yes, I think so. I think if I've only got Bertrand, if I had two, I'd be switching out for somebody else that's around the same. I mean, you can have Ben Davies for virtually the same price. There's other really good defensive options there at that sort of 5.5 bracket.
I like it. Yeah, I like it. Okay.
Watford though.
Standout performers for you? Can I put one on your radar for you?
Here we go again. Look.
Well, I think Decore was fantastic for Watford, absolutely awesome. So I wrote some stats down for him here. It's his second goal of the season already, so he's already got 2, scored against Liverpool and has now scored against Southampton. 60 passes, 90% success rate, 35 BPS, 3 bonus points. What's not to like about this guy? Looks very, very good.
Agree. I just thought Watford looked good against Southampton.
Up into 4th now as well, Watford fans. Tell us what you think about that. I mean, that is pretty good by the sound of things.
Successive clean sheet?
Yes, third successive clean sheet. Yeah, just looking at their fixtures. So difficult-ish fixtures coming up: City, Swansea, West Brom, Arsenal, Chelsea. Okay. So
probably lose their successive clean sheets with City coming or going
to Vicarage Road. City at Vicarage Road. Yeah, that'd be a tough test for City. By the way,
I think so.
Tough test.
Yanmat scoring. He only seems to be able to score away from home at the moment. But yeah, so
I think Yanmat's the easy one to pick out, getting the goal. But I think both Kiko Firmino and Kabasele both played really well, both at 4.5 for Watford. So if you're thinking about getting on the Watford defence, and with those fixtures, I would maybe rein that in a bit. I'd maybe temper that. But at 4.5, there could be some good value in Kiko Firmino. Got an assist. He also got injured. So I think he went off injured. So be very careful about bringing him in before we hear any more news. But Kabasele at 4.5, I think he got 26 BPS. So he missed out on getting the 1 bonus point by 1 BPS, if that makes sense, guys. So he was very close to getting a bonus point. But I think Decore looks very, very good option. Firmino, if he's not injured, looks a good option. And Kabasele there as well. I really like what Silva's doing to them. I think Silva's got them really, really well organised. They are very hard to beat, Watford, very hard to break down. They look a very good unit. Yeah,
they're a surprise to me this season, actually. They're sort of doing what I expected of Bournemouth, to be honest.
Okay, interesting.
I was expecting to kind of be the opposite way round. Well done, Watford.
All right, so we're going to put Decore on the radar. Yeah. Despite the fixtures, he might be not slap bang in the middle, but he's got to be periphery, I think. All right.
And then moving on to the evening game then, Stoke and Man United. Well done, Stoke.
Yes, Stoke getting a point there. It's very good. Actual fact, could have had more, I think. And your man Choupo-Moting, who, if you're thinking about putting him on the radar, I think you're going to call him Max. Okay, I'm going to stick with Choupo-Moting. I think that's right, actually.
Someone will tell us if you're wrong.
Yeah, it's better than Kolasinac and whoever else I couldn't pronounce earlier. Choupo-Moting looked good. Not great defending from United in both goals, I don't think, but nevertheless he was there, looked powerful in the air. So my
understanding is that in the game he is a midfielder, but he is playing up front.
Yeah, interesting. Same as Hesse actually. So I think he's 5 or maybe 5.5. Let me have a look. I did write it down. Choupo-Moting, 5.5 midfielder playing out of position up front for Stoke. So we now have a couple of out of position potentially options there within that Stoke midfield. You've got your man Choupo-Moting there at 5.5, and you've got Hesse at 6. Hesse looked pretty good as well. He looked pretty good. United, I think, did a pretty good job on him. The fullbacks did a pretty good job on him, but Choupo-Moting looked very, very powerful. So one or the other of those, I would say.
I was just going to say that. I don't think you want both. I think they could go on the radar together, Max and Jose.
But I think if you've got a 5.5, say if you're still on a James Ward-Prowse or something in the middle,
yeah,
or you're on an Aaron Moy, I mean, poor guy hasn't played yet this week, so I won't write him off yet. But if you want a 5.5 in the middle there,
why not?
A switch to somebody like a Choupo-Moting looks like it could be a very, very good shout. Let's just have a quick look at Stoke's fixtures, because we might want to temper that, because I think I saw them towards the bottom. So away at Newcastle, home to Chelsea, home to Southampton, at Man City, and then home to Bournemouth. So a real mixed bag there, Stoke fans.
But then at 5.5, you don't have to play them in the big games.
No. Okay, so Choupo-Moting potentially. United, you want to stick Rashford on the radar, don't you?
I definitely do. I said I don't remember if it was on our last vlog or if it was in our Periscope, I was talking about Rashford, and I really rate Rashford, particularly off the back of those England internationals. I thought the game on Friday was excellent. Monday night game, he was much, much better in the second half. And I said to you, and I said on one of these videos, that I thought that Rashford would be a fantastic fantasy asset if he was playing for anybody else. Then what happens? Mourinho picked him.
Well, I think there's a partnership going on here. I noticed that I think either he or somebody came out on Twitter, Rashford, and said that I think it was him. He hopes that he and Lukaku become a bit of a Cole and York thing going on at United.
Okay.
You laugh. It could happen, right? I mean, look at the Premier League is littered with players and duos that have done well, where you have one big guy that wins all the aerial battles, and you have a little guy feeding off of him. A very, very quick guy. Look at Heskey and Owen, right? Look at Berbatov and Robbie Keane and
no, I was just going to say, should we
those
reflect
guys?
on
Yeah,
Berbatov
absolutely.
and Keane? I love those guys.
And Dwight York and Andy Cole as well. Absolutely. So this partnership could really work. Lukaku looking hot still.
And I obviously think that Lukaku is what Lukaku is, but for a lot of people, me included, affording to have Lukaku in your team is huge surgery to the rest of the team, and in making compromises that I'm not prepared to make.
You sound like you're considering Rashford.
So I'm seriously considering Rashford. Yeah. I want to wait and see if he plays in the next game. If he starts regularly starting for Man United, then he will probably end up in my team. Yes.
And that's the rub for me, I'm afraid. With the Champions League coming up, I know he's young, I know he's fit.
I'm not prepared.
And I know that Jose likes him, but Champions League coming up, I foresee a bit of rotation there. I foresee a bit of Martial playing. I'm not going to rush to him. I mean, at the end of the day, I've got Mickey and Jones and Lukaku anyway, so I can't have him. Would I consider downgrading Lukaku to Rashford? No, not yet. Not at the moment, because Lukaku is on fire.
Well, that's another one of those sideways move, isn't it? Ericsson and Ali.
It feels to me more like a downgrade to me. I mean, Lukaku is just red hot at the minute, so I'm not getting rid of him. Despite the fact I could save myself 5 million, I'm not going to go Rashford right now because of the rotation. But if you want to stick him on the radar, I think absolutely right.
I think he absolutely goes on the radar. He's definitely a player I'm considering. At the back end of game week 5, having been through a Champions League cycle, and another game week, that's when I think I'll start to think about, is he actually a serious contender? At the moment, given what he did against Stoke, yes, he's a contender. Yes, he should be on the radar. Will he be there next week? I don't know. Let's see what Mourinho does.
All right, okay, interesting. Let's rattle through the last two fixtures, which is what we saw today in the Super Sunday, which was Burnley versus Palace, which was dull, I'm afraid to say. I know that you were busy doing other bits and pieces, but I watched the game.
I gave up and went and did something else.
I wish I was doing whatever you were doing, because it was poor. I actually got a clean sheet out of Ben Mee in that game, so I was quite happy with that. I'll take 6 points from Ben Mee.
It's a shame that my jammy pick did absolutely nothing, but hey ho.
Yeah, I mean, there's not too much to report there, other than Palace looked woeful. They had 22 attempts, 5 of which were on target. So it wasn't for the want of trying. And actually, Scott Dan missed an absolute sitter of a header.
Oh, he looked like his world had collapsed, didn't he? Bless him. I did see that.
It was a sitter.
I mean, but no goals, no points, no hope. Palace.
It looks very, very difficult. He's gone in there and he's trying to change the mindset. He's trying to change the system. He's trying to change everything. And then when your best player gets injured in the first game, it's very difficult for Frank de Boer. I think they've got to give him time. Whether they do or not remains to be seen, I think.
The only thing I think we could just talk about is Chris Wood. 2 games.
Yeah, 2 games, 2 goals, Chris Wood. So
got to be one to consider. Maybe he could go up on my radar for a little while. I don't think going into the centre, because I think Burnley have got some tough games coming up.
Yeah, I like the thought of him and Vokes. Trying to create this kind of partnership with kind of Brady providing for that partnership.
I still think that Brady is a good pick, so don't go getting off of him if you're on him.
Yeah, he kind of toiled today without really doing very much.
It was a tough game, I think. It was just a strange
jammy picks can't come in every week, can they?
Not every week.
Not every week, but so no, I think if you're on Brady, stick with him. I think they've got to go to Anfield next, so anyone can score against us, especially Burnley, who are. Let me just make sure I've got that right. Yeah, so Anfield next week. So tricky fixture, of course, but Burnley set pieces. Let's have a look at it.
And then
last
finally,
but not least,
Swansea and Newcastle. Sanchez starting for Swansea today.
In that sort of deeper position that we were expecting, right? So anyone that rushed to get Sanchez in, I think you've got to reconsider that potentially. It's only one game, but let's have a look at that.
But then again, it's their third time that they've failed to score. They got to come to Wembley next week.
So Swansea at Spurs next week.
Yeah,
tough one. Oh yeah, because you're going.
5:30 game on Saturday. They just don't look like they've got much going forward at the moment.
I think they will have. I think you've got to give it time.
Sure.
But Bonnie didn't look quite match fit, so he's got to get up to speed.
A few chances,
more than a few chances. He should have scored when Lascelles man of the match today, clearly, because he stopped a clear goal from Tammy Abraham, as well as got the winning goal. So we'll come to Newcastle in a second, but yeah, Abraham could have scored. Sanchez looked okay. I mean, even Tom Carroll didn't look too bad. He's on delivering set pieces and stuff. So at 4.5, I still don't think he's too bad a value. He's just got to have low expectations, I think, which at a 4.5 you got to. Really.
And I think that game could have been very different if that Ritchie challenge that we were talking about had gone the same way that the Mane one did.
Maybe.
If he'd have been sent off, he wouldn't have been there to assist the goal, and then that would have led to perhaps a very different outcome. As it happens, he got a yellow card. But he loves an assist against Swansea. I was reading a statistic afterwards. I don't know why we didn't pick up on it before, but he always, every time they play Swansea, gets an assist.
Okay.
Should have picked up on that before, shouldn't we? That would have been a good pick.
So Swansea, actually, apart from the going to Spurs next week, their fixtures do look really, really good. So I think I would be sticking on my Swansea assets. Carl Norton kind of sat in that back four, didn't he, today, rather than go kind of marauding forward as a wing back. So that's one to look out for. I've certainly had him in my wildcard on the basis that he was going to be a wing back more than a full back. Okay. Got booked today. I actually benched him, so I wasn't too upset about that. I played him over me, so it's one decision that's gone my way this year.
You did have a moment, didn't you, where you went, "Oh, please tell me I didn't play Norton and I played me."
Oh, I did. Well, yeah, I was worried that I played Norton over me, but I didn't, thankfully. So Norton, I'm again 4-5, so I haven't got high expectations. No. I think Swansea will get some clean sheets over the next few weeks, so I think stick with it for now, to be honest. And on the Swansea attack, you're right. I mean, is there anybody to add to the radar?
From Swansea or from well, neither, I don't think.
From either. I think, would you put Lascelles on there on the back of, one goal? I mean, it's a good goal, but I don't know if I'd want to stick him on the radar as a result of that.
No. I think I'd want to see a bit more, just a bit more from them. I didn't think...
Ritchie got the assist, didn't he?
I mean, Ritchie's perhaps
got booked,
one,
so
perhaps.
All right game, I suppose.
But no, I don't think so.
Okay. All right, so I think that's it, isn't it? That's all the games.
Game. Well, and obviously we've still got West Ham and Huddersfield to play tomorrow night.
West Ham and Huddersfield to come. So I think, given that I think we're almost out of time here tonight, aren't we? So we'll do a Periscope during the week where we'll talk about the upcoming game week and some of who we think our top points pick will be for that game week. You'll pick a jammy pick as well.
I've got some ideas, but...
Yeah, and I think I've got some ideas on the top points pick as well. I think there's a few decent candidates, actually, not least Mr. Kane. I think it's going to be a relatively easy pick for me this week. But, Mr. Lukaku's at home. Liverpool are at home to Burnley. So, could be some candidates, I think, to be fair. So, I think that's it for tonight. We'll look forward to the West Ham versus Huddersfield game. We'll see what comes of that game. All eyes on Hernandez. All eyes on Mounier from your perspective.
Please, I need some points.
And for me, I guess Moy, even though he's not in my team, I still like the look of this guy, so I'm keeping an eye on him. We'll hope that that's a better game than the two we had today, quite frankly.
It can't be any worse.
It certainly can't be any worse than that first game. Burnley versus Palace was dull as dishwater.
I never walk out of the football match, but that one I just gave up.
It was poor. Until then, guys, keep following us. Thank you again for all of your support on Twitter, at FPL Family on Twitter, at FPL Family on Instagram. Hit that subscribe button if you like these videos. We do them pretty much every week. Like I say, normally we would do a review of the game week we've just had, and we'll review the upcoming game week. But with this game week, there was so much to talk about, wasn't there? So much to talk about in those games. So many of the fantasy heavy hitters actually hitting heavy. And we'll talk about what our transfers are going to be for next week in the Periscope next week.
And if there is anything you want us to particularly cover in that Periscope, then just drop us in the comments.
Absolutely cool. All right, let's leave it there for today. We'll see you in the week.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.